guys, welcome back to another video. We have some pretty big news here that happened late last night. Wasn't able to get it into my morning video, but I do want to talk about it because I think it could have some big implications for PlayStation going forward, just in terms of how they distribute and handle their first party games. Last year, Jim Ryan retired. They appointed two co-CEOs, Hideaki Nishino and Herman Hulst, to run the PlayStation business. And now they've come out with another announcement here that is changing the entire structure as to how they're going to go about with PlayStation. First of all, you're going to have Hiroki Totoki here, who is going to be at the top of everything. He is now the overall CEO and president of Sony. And I think this is big. I'll go over that why after basically what he had talked about last year about PlayStation games and how they can grow their first party. And then you have the shakeup here directly within PlayStation, which is now Hideaki Nishino is the top dog at PlayStation. He is now the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. He's basically the Jim Ryan since Jim Ryan did leave. And Herman Hulst is kind of being demoted back down to the PlayStation studio boss. He is the head of the first party publishing and all of that type of stuff, but he has to answer now to Hideaki Nishino and of course Hiroki Totoki, who is the big boss over at Sony. So this is very interesting because this is only a year ago. It almost seems like they were competing here for the last year to see who would take over as the top dog at PlayStation, as the CEO to run everything. What ideas, who ran the business better, all of that stuff. What was more important here to Sony and their business would probably end up becoming the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, which ends up being Hideaki Nishino, who is more on the business side of things. He has definitely seemed like the person that wants to expand PlayStation out more, do more things, rather than Herman Hulst, who, if you've been following PlayStation over the last year, over the last little bit, they've just been getting Horizon shoved down everybody's throat. There's been remakes, remasters, and everything. So I wonder if now this is all going to end up changing and their strategy going forward is going to be different than what they currently do have. Now, we've seen PlayStation evolve. We've seen PlayStation expand and putting their games in more places, games on PC. You know they're going to be doing more of that, becoming more and more multi-platform as things do move forward. I've been predicting here for a while that PC day and date is happening from PlayStation. And I think with these moves here, we're going to get even closer to that. One of the major reasons why I do believe that is that Hiroki Totoki, now being the head CEO at Sony, has had some very interesting things to say about the business and where he wants to take the first party PlayStation studios. Specifically, he said this about a year ago, saying, "In the past, we wanted to popularize console, and the first party title's main purpose was to make the console popular. It is true, but there is a synergy to it. So if you have strong first-party content, not only with our console, but also other platforms like computers, first-party can be grown with multi-platform, and that can help operating profit to improve. So that is another one we want to proactively work on. I personally think there are opportunities out there for improvement of margins, so I would like to go aggressive in improving our margin performance." That was a big talking point around PlayStation over the last little bit, was their margins. They weren't big enough. Investors didn't like it. You saw their stocks take some hits because of that. And they have to find ways to sell more copies of their games and to reach more gamers. The obvious answer to this is becoming more multi-platform, putting your games in more places. Hiroki Totoki specifically comments on that a year ago. Now with him being at the head, I have a feeling that is the direction he is going to be pushing PlayStation. What could that mean? Would that mean putting games on Xbox? Potentially putting some more games. I mean, there already are PlayStation games on Xbox. We think of games like MLB The Show and stuff. And then you think about, obviously they own Bungie, so all of those games are currently on Xbox, and maybe that means they look at what Bungie has done with the amount of money they make in games like Destiny. They take that strategy and they expand it out to other studios. Or do they look at the fact that Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out, they're going to have a high degree of focus on putting games as well on the Nintendo Switch 2? Because we do know here with the Nintendo Switch 2, Xbox is going to be supporting the heck out of that thing. And we were hearing rumors that Xbox is going to be one of the biggest publishers for the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. And if you don't think Sony is sitting back and looking at that, how their competitor at Xbox is helping their main competitor in Japan sell more units and have more content on their platform, they're probably thinking, well, we need to get some of that money as well. We need to be able to reach more consumers, especially with the amount of people that buy the Nintendo Switch. And then obviously PC is going to be another thing here that I do think they expand upon on and put their games into PC day and date. But you have to also ask, where Herman Hulst and Hideaki Nishino butting heads here over the last year or so, both pitching their ideas of where they wanted the business to go. And Hideaki Nishino does win out here. And if we take a step back, we take a look at some of the stuff that they did talk about going forward with PlayStation. It really does seem like they're moving in the direction that we have been hearing and talking about for a while, which again is more multi-platform. This was back in, I believe, May of 2024, May 30th, 2024, where this article came out. And they were talking about extending their franchises by focusing on multi-platform delivery. Nishino here says that rather than cannibalization, this is an opportunity for growth, which is something you always hear about on the Xbox side of things, but people seem to just not believe that this is the same kind of mindset that PlayStation has. But everyone's talking about this takes away the value and cannibalizes the sales of their games, but they look at these as ways to grow, to get into the hands of more people so that more people have access to their games. They potentially spend money on them for a long period of time, especially if there's microtransactions within them, if there's games as a service or multiplayer side of stuff like that. So it's definitely a growth when you are looking at the console market that is stagnant. It's selling to the same people over and over again. These companies always need to grow, no matter how successful the console is. If the console continues to be right now very successful, always selling around 100+ million units every single generation, they have to find other ways to reach more people. They can't just stay stagnant in selling essentially around the same amount of consoles every generation. And then Herman also actually talks about this too, and he says, we are looking to extend the reach of our franchises by our focus on multi-platform delivery. That enables us to continue to invest these substantial amounts into creating world-class franchises. And what I think overall, when we're looking at this new appointment, this new restructuring, they probably look at Hideaki Nishino as in a better place and have a better understanding on how to take this multi-platform strategy and make it successful, whereas Herman Hulse is more on the game side of things, so he'll be continually handling that, which would be development, the overseeing of the studios and making sure that these games are being produced properly at a high quality, and then they'll take it and release it everywhere else. They obviously talked about Helldivers 2 as a multi-platform approach and everything. PC is the obvious direction that they will continue to go and put games day in day. But this is a shakeup. This is a difference in, I think, how they will be run going forward. I believe this last year was kind of trying to figure out what that pivot is going to be, or at least how much faster they can pivot going forward with their games. And now that their structure is set, I think we'll see a lot more stuff from PlayStation. I think we'll see a lot more interesting news on how their business does change. I don't believe they're just going to be operating in just the exact same way that they have in previous generations. And they haven't been. I know I always make it seem like this change is coming, but the change has been happening. It's just been slower. And maybe now with Hideaki Nishino at the helm of the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, it may move a little bit faster. But some big news here. We'll see what happens. And the other thing I do hope for is that we just move away here from PlayStation of just shoving down remasters, remakes, and just Horizon down everybody's throat over and over and over again. Hopefully that's the case, and we get some announcements for some newer games in 2025 and beyond. But I will end the video. If you do enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.